41% of all workers say that they should be allowed to wear business casual. 31% say casual street clothes. What does that mean for your business? And what are the risks and benefits of starting your own business? Stay tuned. Welcome to the WorkHARDAholic Show with your host, the original WorkHARDaholic, Shirley Crawford, author, speaker, and small business consultant for over 20 years, helping you to work hard, play harder, and business better. Hello, and welcome back to WorkHARDaholics with your favorite host, the original WorkHARDaholic, Shirley Crawford. Okay, today, here's the thing. We're preparing for the end of the year. And so a lot of us are doing a lot of assessing about our business, our brand, and what we want to keep and what we want to get rid of. So in the midst of this process, it's really important to know, are your employees satisfied? Are they content? Are they happy? And so for a lot of people, part of that process is actually like, what do they have to do to be your employee? Right. So I think about it. There was an interview with Mark Zuckerberg like eons ago, and he was discussing why it is that he wears the exact same thing every single day. One, because it's like less brain work to know this is what I'm wearing. I don't know what it is, khakis and a white button down shirt or whatever the case may be. But for a lot of us, we've been having these conversations about customer service and your brand. And I know maybe a few weeks ago, I talked about that employee who was out in the streets with their logo on from their office. So they had on the business brand, but they were out there doing some things that were kind of questionable. And how does that reflect on you, even though they weren't out there, for business purposes? A lot of these things affect your brand. But right now, especially in a time where employee retention, especially amongst millennials, is hard to come by. And then we're still dealing with all these issues of, okay, we're trying to hire, and there don't seem to be enough people to come on board. Maybe it's time to consider a way that you can increase your profile with your employees and also even with yourself. So the question that comes to mind for me is, got to get ready every day. And so a lot of times, or at least classically speaking, it was always thought that there was business professional attire. In this age, what does that even mean? Right now, I could go on the street and do an interview, and I can guarantee you over half of the population will say that jeans and a blazer is business professional. I'm sorry to tell you all that's not the case. So even when you're creating this type of, wardrobe mandate, what does it mean to you and what does it mean to your employees? At the top of the show, we were talking about a survey that's been done, and it's done by Gallup. I know I normally quote Pew Research, but in this case, it was a Gallup poll, and so they were asking a variety of employees, and it was done this year, so it was done literally just this late summer. And the question was, which of the following best describes the kind of clothes you wear to work most days? All right, and so I shared some of the numbers. For the overall population, 41% said business casual, 31% said casual street clothes, 23% are still wearing a uniform, and then a very small minority of 3% did business professional. What is interesting, if you break it out even further between male and female, 51% of women said they wore business casual, 32% of men said business casual, and you can guess the rest from there. And I find that very interesting because in a lot of situations, gotta love you all, there's some biases about women, right? And so with that in mind, we often have to look a little more professional to be taken seriously, even though we have the same skill set as our male counterparts. And so it makes sense that we in turn would dress a little more professionally. And then we also don't have to hear the words about being provocative or too sexy or too anything if we're dealing with a more business attire, business appropriate attire. But let's go back to it. So you might have in your manuals to say that it's business professional, it's business casual. But once again, in this day and age, what does that mean? And also, what are the legal ramifications? Right? You can't just say, so there right now, there are all these policies that we might not have thought about. There are policies about hair and nails and tattoos and all kinds of things, right? But you have to take in consideration religious freedoms. You have to take in consideration cultural differences. So right now, of course, we've talked before about the Crown Act, which deals with, in particular, natural hair. And so, it hasn't been ratified in all states, but it's still out there in several, and it's still coming across the attempt is for it to be a national thing, which means that you can't tell an employee they can't have cornrows and it's mostly African American natural hair, but it'll apply to all. You can't tell them they can't have locks. You can't tell them that, like, my hair, I need a relaxer or whatever the case may be. These are all the things you have to think about. So when you consider what's your image, what you're projecting, you have to really know what's really the most important about the brand. Now, for me, first things first, everybody needs to be clean. And it seems like that should be a simple enough thought, but when you see dirty fingernails, you are not serving me food. I actually have question marks now when I go to restaurants because they have this daily debate of gloves or no gloves. Um, and so the gloves are because, the gloves we all know, especially after COVID, they keep the germs away. But hey, when you're dealing with a lot of high temperature heat items, they can melt. So, and then that means the company has to buy a higher end level of glove, and to give it to every employee, then they have to change it up. Anyway, you get the idea. There are all these pieces, and then there's even some people who are allergic to the plastic of gloves. There's a lot that goes into that. So you have to really think, what's the most important thing that you want for your brand, for your employees, and how will they represent that? And knowing that people do judge you on how you look and how you provide. But I'm noticing in this day and age, and I assume this is my perception and judgment of things that I'm seeing, because of the employee shortages, because it's so hard to get good employees, because it's hard for employee retention right now, a lot of things that used to be the standard have kind of gone out the window. And then, of course, we have all these remote workers, although keep in mind, a lot of companies are starting to bring their employees back on site. So yeah, you were at home in your pajamas, or you were like the newscasters who wear the blazer and the nice top and then had on, shorts at the bottom. That won't fly in an office. And that time is changing. Some of you are probably experiencing it right now, where you're having to head back to the office, and those PJs aren't going to cut it anymore. Right? But we're also dealing with generations who will actually go out into public in their PJs. So then, when you're saying this is our standard, this is our priority, you're going to have to make sure you actually, I think we're at a point where we're like the McDonald's cash register. So it used to be the cash register was numbers. Like, what would you expect it to be? You punched the numbers, you counted out the change, you understood that. But in this day and age, especially now, where we've had a whole generation that's been like, they don't even deal with change. Like COVID in particular gave us a coin shortage. People are still not sure. And a lot of people, unfortunately, some people aren't able to count very well here in these United States of America and don't know how to give the proper change. So the McDonald's cash register, it's pictures now. It says quarter pounder, you push the quarter pounder. And then for some of the cash registers, when it gives change, it shows you quarter, nickel, dime, penny, which I find excessive, and it makes me question the American education system. God bless you, teachers who are doing a great job. But overall, there are so many things that are happening and going on that the bottom line is it might have to come down to that. Your manuals now, your SOPs might have to be pictures or videos. I don't know. But the point is, if you need to figure out what's the standard that you want to have for your business. You want to make sure you can visualize it so that your employees, whatever their education level and understanding can understand and visualize to see that when we say no tattoo, you might as well skip the no tattoos policy. Everyone has them now. I mean, I don't, but still. Recognize what's most important and be ready to make sure that your employees understand it so that your brand can best be represented. Okay, speaking of brands, just one moment here, we have a commercial break. Please be sure to like, share, and subscribe to the show and support our sponsors. We'll be right back after this break.
Listen, attorney Alex Taylor is a soldier in a suit, defending anyone with criminal charges, DUIs, and more. Call Alex Taylor, your soldier in a suit, at 804-500-5000.
I'm Alex Taylor. Don't face your criminal charges alone. Put a former prosecutor with 30 years of experience on your side. Let me show you how a soldier fights for your freedom.
Call 804-500-5000 or go to alextaylorlaw.com.
Ladies, are you looking to move your office from your kitchen table to a space of your own? Are you ready to take your business to the next level? Are you looking for co-working and community? Well, then come join us at the Women's Business Center, RVA, located at 1510 Willow Lawn Drive, Suite 100, directly across the street from the Kroger at Willow Lawn. Visit us on the web at wbcrva.com or on social media at WBCRVA. In honor of the Women's Business Center RVA 5-year anniversary, the countdown is on. Ladies, it's time for the WBC RVA Toolkit. You don't want to miss it. It means every Thursday you co-work not for free, but it's included. So that's co-working every Thursday. Each month there's one seminar and one group coaching. So all day Thursday you can come hang out here at the Women's Business Center RVA, and it's just $25 a month. Tell them about it, Joanne.
Yes. And a couple of the topics that we will be talking about, discussing and reviewing and going through are starting a business the right way, because we do want to start off the right way. We're also going to talk about a business model canvas and how your company creates value for its customers. Also goal setting, which is very important. Finances, even developing your pitch, also social media distribution and content, and much, much more. So we are excited about seeing you there. So you can register today at WBCRVA.com.
Welcome back. Okay. So today we're really thinking about and talking about your brand, your business. We're really getting ready for the whole new year, which is coming, and it's time to prepare for. So before you can move forward, it's a great time to really assess where you are, what's important, what you need to revamp, and what do you want to keep. So with that in mind, we were just talking about what's the appropriate brand and attire for your workforce, even for yourself, and how that represents you out in the big bad world. Okay, but on that note, the next thing I really want you to think about as you're prioritizing, especially for the new year, how are you measuring success? I've asked this question before. It's actually one of my favorite questions because I've learned that although I think success is this, someone else can think something totally different. And this also goes to your having a successful relationship with your employees. So, you know me, former psychology major that switched to business. I always think about I can do it. Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So here's the thing. A lot of times you think if you give them more money, that'll be enough. It's not always enough. Or sometimes you think if I acknowledge them publicly, that's enough. It's not always enough. It's really important for you to know where your employees are, because when you are rewarding them, it's not based on what you want. It's based on what they want. So that's often why I love to ask the question, how do you measure success? And so for a long time, money wasn't my measurement, which is why even now I am rectifying that. I'm making some shifts and some changes where money is much more important to me in my measurement of success. But what is yours? So with that in mind, it should be quantifiable. You all know I love quantifiable metrics, ways that you can measure it. But also recognizing there is this thing that we experience, and it's called cognitive dissonance. I told you all, former psychology major, right? And so what that means is in your mind, you understand something to be right or true or wrong, but yet and still your actions don't always measure up with that. There was a rapper, yes, I'm going to refer to her. There was a rapper who was talking about the fact that in his heart, he knew that treating women wrong was wrong, and that you shouldn't steal, you shouldn't kill, like those basic 10 Commandments issues. But in all of the songs that he danced to and loved and enjoyed, all the messaging was different. That's cognitive dissonance. So you as an employer, you as an entrepreneur, it's really important for you to understand those pieces of cognitive dissonance as well. So one of the things is when you are an entrepreneur, even as a C-suite executive, we're out here recognizing that things are changing and constantly moving. Like a few weeks ago, I know we gave some tips and tricks about some AI software options, right? So in our minds, and that's AI is a great example of cognitive dissonance that most of us as entrepreneurs experience. Because here's the thing, we know that we want to be the latest, the greatest, the best. But that means we have to be on the cutting edge. And in our heart of hearts, there's a study that shows that most people detest, deplore, despise change. Well, how can you be the innovator if you can't stand being the creator? How can you possibly, be out here saying, okay, we're going to be the next best thing when you're like, no, 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 let's wait for someone else to be the alpha tester, which is actually before the beta tester. And then we have these other people who will come in and be will adapt to what has changed. How can you be the leader in your industry if you're scared of AI? If you're so concerned that AI is going to take over your job, your employment, your status, your career, and put you out of business, if you're really the innovator, here's that cognitive dissonance. If you're really the innovator, then you're going to jump out and spend your weekends learning all there is to know about AI. You're going to know when I say ChatGPT or Jasper or Groove.ai. You're going to know what all those things are. And you're going to be like, yes, I know this one. We're using this one. We're creating this here. Like that's the space to be in if you're really going to be an innovator. Entrepreneurs by nature are risk takers. You have to be because you're willing to jump out there and say, I believe in me. I believe in my dream. I believe in what I'm going to accomplish. And I'm going to jump out here and make it choke on that, my full-time gig. And I'm going to make money because I'm believing in what I can accomplish. That's why for a lot of people, entrepreneurship isn't the answer. They're risk averse. That's why we say, at least have a side hustle, have a stream of income, have some way to bring money in. Because if you really are risk averse, then you need to know that Uncle Sam isn't giving you money. And your Fortune 500 is about making their own money. So they may have you or they may fire you. It just depends on what their needs are. So with that in mind, dealing with that cognitive dissonance. Another portion of that is for those of you who are out here and you have your businesses and you're like, we're a family. Everyone here is a part of the team. But yet and still you don't have a suggestion box. You don't have any of your employee input that they can share. You don't do 360 reviews where the employee has the opportunity not only to be reviewed, but to also review their managers and review the company at large. So how much of a family-oriented company are you? If you are dictating, hello there. If you're dictating from the top down and you're telling everyone else what they're going to do, but yet when was the last time you were on your front line to really know what's going on in the community, what's going on with your business? And you're not open to feedback, you're not open to information, then you're not a family business. In families, there's a lot of, yes, they are matriarchs and patriarchs. There are people who lead, but there's lots of interaction and feedback from those who are a part of said family. So when we talk about cognitive dissonance, that's what it's about. You say one thing, you say you believe a thing, but then your actions are totally different, totally not in line with that. And this causes confusion for your employees. It causes confusion for your customers. All right. So there used to be this saying that the customer is always right, which I'll tell you now is a lie. The customer is not always right. But a lot of times it doesn't matter who's right, because if being right will make you lose your contract, and you didn't want to, then did you really care that you were right? You can be right and broke. That's just my philosophy when it comes to that whole, the customer's always right. They're not always right. Don't even believe it, but they're still your customer. And once again, we talk about that cognitive dissonance. That's one of the things that happens. So when you're trained to believe the customer's always right and you have the customer in front of you and you have documentation to show they're absolutely positively wrong and you still want to treat it that way, that causes cognitive dissonance. As opposed to where my general philosophy is, the customer is not always right, but they're still my customer, and I will still treat them with the utmost respect, provide them with the best service that I can, and offer to them all that I can possibly do, as long as this is a positive relationship and not a poisonous one. So take a look around to see the messages, the mission, the vision that you're proclaiming about yourself to the community, and make sure that your actions, your product, your services, your front line all match up with this. And that will mean no more cognitive dissonance for you and your biz. Okay. Enough psychology 101 for the day. We're going to hit you with this commercial break and then come back and we're going to really talk about, especially in the new year, what are the benefits and some of the drawbacks of starting your own business.
Life can be a struggle. Find hope, healing, and answers at the Abundant Life Church of Christ, a place to encounter God through uplifting worship, singing, prayer, the preach word, and fellowship. One step can change your life. One step could shift your destiny. There has never been a better time to take that step than now. Come be our guest every Sunday at 10 a.m. at the Abundant Life Church of Christ, a place where you belong.
Wouldn't it be convenient and safe to communicate with your dentist, pediatrician, medical doctor, or mental health professional anywhere you are without actually traveling to our medical centers?
Well, you can with a televisit at your local Capital Area Health Network. Call us at 780-0840 or
go to cahealthnet.org.
Find out how a televisit may be your best option. We are the Capital Area Health Network, the heart of the community.
In honor of Women's History Month, we bring you a powerhouse of women in business. Join us for this dynamic, limited 3-part series, Women and Entrepreneurship, starting on March 29th.
Welcome back again. Okay, so I want to talk to you all about what are the benefits of starting your own business, but we're going to keep it honest and fair, and we're also going to talk about the drawbacks. So one of the wonderful things is that I believe we're all created with gifts and talents and skills. And here's the deal. I am willing to bet you money, cash, that's like a pinky swear. I'm willing to bet you cash money that the skill, gift, or talent that you have could make money for you. But a lot of us are afraid. We talked about risk aversion just a few minutes ago, to really jump in there and to leap in and to start your own business. So I want to share with you all today some of the benefits of doing just that. So, and here's the thing that I thought, y'all know I love the stats, I love the information. Did you know that 99.9% of all businesses are small businesses? That means like less than 0.1% basically are these much longer corporations. And we think that they're everything because we see them spending the big dollars and that's all we see. But the country is run and lives on the back of you, the small business owner, you, the entrepreneur, right? And if not, the companies that if you're not out there and you don't have your side hustle, you're not an entrepreneur, that means that big Fortune 500, they're making their money off of you. I'm just saying. So I just want to take a minute and talk about like all of the benefits of starting a business, but we want to be honest and fair and talk about some of the drawbacks as well, because it's not all peaches and cream. I love it. I'll tell you again, at this point, I am highly unemployable. So all of you headhunters who are sending me information, really, you don't really want me. I am so unemployable. I am an entrepreneur to my core. This is what we do, and that's all. So, and we start off with independence. I am independent. You remember that one? Yeah, I make my own money. Don't tell me how to spend it, right? So that's one of the first things that, so like, I'll give you an example. This past week was a zoo. I keep saying it was a zoo for me. I have so much going on personally, physically, emotionally, just happening. And so 90% of last week, I worked from home. There was no like pre-notice about it. That is just what had to happen. You can independently take care of what you need to take care of because you're your own boss. Hopefully you're disciplined, but if not, you won't be in business long anyway. All right. And so another thing is flexibility. And some of these were from a listing from Business News Daily that put out this report. And so I'm just sharing some of the information. Another thing is power and control. So as a very independent alpha female, and I like the flexibility of the fact that if I have a decision, I see a movement, I can make the change. I have the flexibility to make it happen, but I also have the power and control to say, this is the project that I'm working on. This is not the project that we're going to deal with. And then also for those of you who have these passions, right? You have creativity, you are accomplishing all these things, and your current job is stifling that. It's a great time for you to be an entrepreneur, even if it is a side hustle. I love a good side hustle because that means you have a stream of income that is not dependent on Uncle Sam. It's not dependent on a Fortune 500. It's not dependent on anyone else. And I'm going to tell you now, I have had moments where my side hustles have supported me for like years, right? Before I really became full-time. that my side hustles have always been the thing that carried me through. It's also the reason that over the years that you saw those trips, those pictures of me in Hawaii or cruising or doing whatever else, because there was income that was coming in irrespective of, employment status. And so when we talk about passion and creativity, so thus far we talked about independence, flexibility, power and control, passion and creativity. I want to share this because Christina of the wonderful Imagine Media Lab gave these to me. And so this is amazing. And so it's a pin and it has this customized like top on there. See, if she had some gray hair, she'd be me. Right. And that is from K Banks Designs, KBANX Designs.com. Go check them out because we support small, we support local. They're in Maryland and it's lovely for those of you who are getting ready for your Christmas gifts. But that's the thing. If you were at your standard 9 to 5 and you had that passion, you had this creativity, your boss doesn't care. I mean, really, they just don't. There are also financial gains. So here's the thing. Once again, when you work for someone else, that means you have these levels of what happens with the money. You're doing the work, they're getting the pay, they're taking out for their office supplies, their expenses, their salaries, and then it trickles down to the portion that you receive. But here's the thing. When you're the boss, that's money coming into you. You decide how you're going to disperse it. And they're also coming along with it are those tax benefits, right? So we're getting ready, right? We're coming to the end of the calendar year, which for many of you is your fiscal year, your financial year. And so it's time to file taxes. Well, as you're looking at those benefits, right, you have lots of things you can write off. Now, keeping in mind, just a sidebar, for those of you who don't know, partying is not something you can write off. But an official business expense, you can. You can take off part of your expenses for your car, your mileage. You can take off, like for this, I'm doing this show. Technically my clothes are a business expense. Although some things I pull out my closet. And others, we are very glad to have a partnership with Very Ashley. But those are things that you can actually like write off. You can write off part of your home expense if you have a home office. And there are calculators to help you figure out like how much of that you can do. Now, I'm sharing a bunch of stuff, but your software in particular, like all the things related to your computer, business meals, you can take off the 50% off depending on what the meal is. Not your CPA, not your accountant. Be sure to talk to them. But there are all these things that you can write off as business expenses. And it's wonderful and amazing. And when you are a regular person with an employee, you don't get those options, right? But let's quickly talk about some of the challenges. It's not all peaches and cream. I don't know that I actually like peaches and cream, but that's a whole other story. So if you're in business and all that you have for clients are your cousins or your neighborhood or one population, then you are limiting how much business you can do. And for a lot of small business owners, diversifying your customer base can be kind of complicated, right? So one, you might not know the language, the culture of the other areas that you're trying to reach. And so if you don't expand, eventually you're going to peter out, right? A big one, and this is the number one reason that most businesses go out of business, is managing your cash flow. So on the books, you have money, but in real life, you don't have anything liquid. So when it's time to pay the light bill, when it's time to pay for whatever, you don't actually have the cash to do so. And that is the number one reason that businesses go out of business. It's also the number one reason of divorce. All right. And then legal compliance. I am not your lawyer, right? We love Sarah McCurry and Associates. All right. And so if you don't have a lawyer, you don't always know like what's the legal compliance. That also goes for your tax information. It's changing every year. If you don't have someone else who's monitoring that, then you could just as easily be out of business. I got to quickly go through the rest. Sustaining quality while you are expanding your business. So you're growing your business, but like I think about Famous Amos when they expanded, they got bought out. They sold to another company, but they've never tasted the same, right? And then you want to make sure you can avoid burnout. And last but not least, and this one is really hard, believe you me, I know, is not being a lone ranger. It's really hard to find a team you trust, but it's really vital and important that you actually don't micromanage. You hand tasks over to your employees to do the tasks they're going to do or to your partners so that you can remain in business. Okay, that is it for today. As we always like to say, live better, do better, be better, and especially for as we're coming to 2024, happy entrepreneuring. Ta-ta. share, subscribe, repeat, repeat, repeat. Thanks for tuning in to WorkHARDaholics. Support our show by following on YouTube and all major social media platforms at WorkHARDaholic. Until next week, happy entrepreneuring.